Oh, there we go.
Oh, hello. I didn't see you there, friends. Um, hi everyone. Uh, we're getting the kinks worked out, 1 week at a time, right?
Whoa.
Whoa. Whoa, was I loud?
No, that was that was the moderator repeating what you were saying.
Oh, okay. Hey everyone. Uh, Welcome to Beyond the Nightmare. I am your host, Marlo. And of course, I'm here with my lovely co host, Sam Transient. Um,
Hello.
Sam, what do you have anything that interesting or good that happened this week? Because I was out of good things that happened this week to talk about, and I was gonna do a show opener about something good that happened this week, but I had a little
Um,
declined.
I mean, I think you already know the answer to that. I
uh,
mailed a box. I mailed a box today. I haven't mailed a box in many years. I mailed a box to you.
Yay!
So,
Um, we have each other's addresses now, so it'll be much easier to stalk you. That's a good thing.
yeah, that's true. That's true. As long as you're not peeking in my window, it's okay. Just do it across the street
Okay.
where I can't.
Okay. You see that person standing under the street lamp? That's me.
Okay,
You just hear me over
SpongeBob
from the
style. Wee woo, wee
wee
woo.
woo wee woo. One interesting thing that happened to me today or this week, I started wrapping presents because I'm that person, and I have to be ahead of time or I feel like I'm behind. And so I wrapped some presents, and my kid is 7. She still believes in Santa, so I'm wrapping Santa's presents. And I told her I'm an elf, so I know things that other parents don't. So I said, and that's also why I'm so short.
Okay.
But so I'm wrapping my kid's present, and I wrote Satan on it because apparently I write the word Satan way more often than I write the word Santa. So I'm a real shitty elf. Um, and and then today Spotify called me out because my most listened to song this year was "Whore" by In This Moment, and so I'm probably sketchy. This is also a show that I am hosting where we review horror movies. So I'm a sketchy person reviewing horror movies. Uh,
And you kill a lot of people in our Wednesday shows. I mean,
I
and you
don't
just
know.
kind of admitted to stalking me from across the street under a street light.
Uh, and today we're probably gonna be talking about like dead people and killing people, and because that happens in these movies. So
Indeed, it does.
hi FBI, hi NSA, hi whoever's listening to me.
Oh, everyone, all the time.
Sam, where can we find you? What else are you working on? Give us the lowdown.
You can find me usually on Twitter at @XTheTransient, which now that we have the updated page, if you go down to our About section, you'll see some 3 lovely pictures. The first one will take you to my Twitter page. The second one will bring you to Marlo's Twitter page, and the last one will take you to our Patreon. Our Patreon has been updated, so if you want to check that out, um, we'd love to have you as a patron. It starts as low as $1 a month. There's quite a few tiers, and each of them offer pretty good rewards that we definitely plan to keep up with. And we have some goals that are now up, some spooky goals that we're wanting to meet for sure. Which, if we don't meet the goal by a certain month, I may just drop what I want to do anyways, just because it'd be fun. But hopefully, we can meet the goal to make that happen first. Outside of that, I'm working on Blood Iron, the sequel to my first adventure module for Guns of Santa Terina, which was Sanctified. You can still find Sanctified on sale on Drive-Thru RPG. I will drop the link to that in the chat for everyone. But if you missed that link, you can go to Drive-Thru RPG, search Sanctified, and it is the only book on the website with that title. So you should be able to look it up. It's the very first one. It is on sale for $3. Let me go ahead and drop that. That's it.
I know I just admitted I'm sketchy, but I highly recommend that module. So take a sketchy person's opinion. It's a good module.
Hopefully, we'll be playing it off air sometime soon. Which, for everyone else, I forgot to announce that I may be doing an updated version after these playtests. that'll add a little bit more meat into that book and to kind of make it run better with the other 3 books in the series that are going to come out with it. So look out for an updated version. If you bought the previous version, I will try to get you an updated version for free. So look out for those. But sorry, rambled on. Go ahead.
Absolutely no. You're talking more about yourself, so maybe we're moving towards a nexus point here. Maybe we're moving towards a positivity, because usually you're like, I do things. Bye. But yes,
I pre-planned what I was going to say.
you're better than me because I just ramble. So I'm not doing a whole lot right now, as I still noted. I'm trying to take these exams and I keep procrastinating on studying, and then I get upset at myself, and then I study for a long time, and then I burn myself out, and then I don't want to study anymore. So anyway, I am not doing a whole lot, but tomorrow night I will be over on Featherfall. I am playing a 5e campaign called the Gateway Wars. I play a weird bard, so that'll be fun. And I am also on Sunday going to be on Colin Namakon's channel on Twitch. We are playing 10 Candles over there. I got invited to do that on Sunday, so that'll be fun too. So I guess catch me over there. It's supposed to be a one-shot. Hopefully it really is a one-shot, because last one-shot I did on his channel, love him to death, ended up being like a 3 or 4 shot. So, but it was very good. That's about it. That's all I'm doing, other than obviously being here on Wednesday nights. We play Cult Divinity Lost, and Sam is our beautiful, well, was our beautiful Night Mother, is now our warden. So catch us here on Wednesday nights. We really rock that show. Nico and myself just annihilate people, and it's pretty dope, I would say.
Yes, and it's going to be kicking up next week. If you haven't been following my Twitter, look out for more sketchy tweets that seem out of place, and they likely have to do with the game going on. So
yay.
it's I've been doing a lot of writing. Just look how nubby my pencil's got. Also, don't drink blueberry tea. That's what I just made that face about when I took a sip. It's not very good.
I'm following along, so it's small, so I couldn't see. I couldn't be like, why are you making that face at me? But yeah, so we're going to be talking. This is our last part in our Hellraiser series. Maybe we'll come back to it if I get to read some of the comics. Maybe. We'll see. But getting my hands on those is harder than I anticipated, so some of them are like kind of expensive. And I was like, really now?
They definitely are. Let me see if I sat that one over here. I found the first issue. No, that is... What is that? I don't know what comic book is. Sorry. Ignore me.
Probably a one-off you bought and you're just like, this looks interesting.
There we go. Can everyone see that?
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
The artwork looks so good.
Oh, it definitely is. It is. It's. I don't want to get DMCA'd, but it's a beautiful comic.
So today we're going to be talking about 4 movies because we couldn't split it evenly. So I figured just kind of roll this one up, and then I think from the perspective of are these movies worth watching? We'll get there, but the answer is probably not for most of them. But we're going to be talking about Hellraiser Deader, Hellworld, Revelations, and Judgment. So the official titling doesn't have numbers on it. I've seen them with numbers on them in various places. But I wanted to talk today about the directors of these films for a minute because the last movie we talked about, the director was Rick Boda. I'm gonna go with Boda. And then these first 2 movies we're gonna talk about today are Deader and Hellworld, and those are both also by Rick Boda. And that segues me into my next point, which is apparently these movies and the last movie were written without the intention of them being Hellraiser movies. And I don't know if we really touched on that very much in the last one, but they were like hooked in with this sort of plot. Total separate movies, and if you watch them, you can kind of tell like, oh, okay, yeah, I can see that.
I actually didn't know that. See, this is why you're here to talk about these technical side of things. I
My
just know the lore and people get chained.
my spotty research, but you know, when we talked about things like what do these movies add to the lore and how do they tie in, when we talk about those types of things, it seems pretty evident that these movies were really just apparently what had happened with which one was it? I think Inferno. Yeah, it was Inferno. Apparently, Clive Barker had pitched this really great, really awesome idea that included like the Leviathan and Cenobite, and it was just like really epic. But they didn't have the money to make it, so they made a direct to DVD or VHS release or whatever it was. I'm not sure when time frame VHS probably direct to movie.
This was what, 2000? Which movie was it?
2000. It was Inferno.
Oh yeah, Inferno. I think there was DVDs in 2000.
Direct to DVD release. Either way, so they made these movies and just like.
That's 20 years ago.
Yeah.
I feel sad now.
No, that's strange, right? So, given that some of these movies were originally, and it's glaringly obvious that it's just like they injected this little bit of what is the Hellraiser world into it to make it as part of the franchise. It's glaringly obvious, but the time frames of these releases, I'd like to, you know, when we talk about horror movies, and I think, Sam, you can probably attest to this too, there's an era where horror movies were across the board pretty crappy. I mean, anything that came out, you could bet it was going to be bad. And especially this time around, we're talking about 4 movies starting in 2000, 2 of them released in 2005. Now, this is 2 Hellraiser movies released in the same year.
Yeah.
And then one in 2011, which you think is not that long ago. It is. That was 9 years ago.
It's a long time ago in terms of movies and where they've gone.
Yes.
There.
And then 2018, which is our newest, which I think it shows that filmmaking in the early 10s and 2000s was...
Yeah, I mean, just the cover with Pinhead on Revelations just looks awful.
Yes, looks very bad.
It's like one of those made for sci-fi horror movies.
Absolutely. So,
which were really big during 2005 to 2011.
They were. They truly were. I also found out they're having a Space Jam 2 come out, and I'm real amped about that.
Yeah, that's gonna be great, actually.
I'm very excited.
What about Mike? Who's gonna play?
It's gonna be LeBron James.
Okay.
I believe. Why did I suddenly feel like that's wrong?
We can't get off track. We're going to start talking about Looney Tunes.
Yeah. Yeah, it's LeBron James. It's going to have Don Cheadle in it, too, is what I'm reading right here.
Sounds like it'll be good.
It'll be good. I'm so excited for it. Anyway, back on track.
We can't review it here. It's not a horror movie.
Yeah, we can't.
Well, as far as we know so far.
Find me on my side channel, weird cartoon crossover movies, where I only talk about weird cartoon crossover movies.
I watch a lot of cartoons, Marlo. Don't tell me.
That'd be good. That'd be a good channel. I don't know how long it could go. Probably longer than you think, but
there's a lot of cartoons out there.
So we too much of an aside. So Deader, Hellraiser Deader. Now this film, I can tell you, I was not a fan. That's the first one, right? The first one, yes.
Yeah.
We're talking about a lot of movies, you guys. It's hard to keep track.
Yeah, Deader is number 7.
Is it 7, 8,
yep.
9, 10? Yeah, you're right. It's gonna be a night. It's gonna be a tough one.
Yes, they don't have numbers. If you sort them by their numbers, it corrects the search to whatever the title would have been. So
yeah, it's incredibly frustrating. So this one is another one where it's quite evident it was not meant to be a movie. A Hellraiser movie. In fact, it's supposed to be a remake of 13 Ghosts.
That makes more sense.
Yes. Basically, it takes this reporter, gets sent on this assignment to Bucharest, and there's a ritualistic murder reanimation on a video. That's sort of found footage type thing. And she goes to investigate it and finds these people called the Deaders. And this guy is bringing people back to life. Basically, they hook in the puzzle box because she finds a lady who's killed herself and has the puzzle box. Is that what? Am I right there?
Yeah, you're correct.
And then she tracks down the descendant of the toy maker, Winter, I think was that person, that guy's name.
Mm-hmm.
And then I remember that one because that's such a weird name. Then I don't even know how to describe this movie after that point. I'll be honest with you. It's like
basically if you took the scene from Predator 2 when they meet the cult inside the club, you would have Hellraiser Deader. So Amy, so picking up somewhere Marla left off, Amy basically ends up going through a series of trials, so to speak, after she gets the puzzle box, and she ends up going through the subway where she meets this kind of out of it dude inside of this kind of orgy den. And after a little bit of back and forth, she tells him about Winter, who is the son of the toy maker. And basically, she, like most final girls here, uses the puzzle box to manipulate Winter into helping her with this situation as well. You want me to keep going?
Yeah, something like that. I mean, I think on this one I might have zoned out a little bit because I don't know. I was at the point when I watched this one where I was like, what's happening? This is not related at all.
Basically, she has all these encounters with Winter over a span of multiple locations. And each of them appears to end up being a hallucination where she is basically killed at the end of it and then wakes up into the next hallucination. Eventually, when she wakes up out of the final hallucination, she gets situated back into her hotel room, where she has another nightmare about her father, which we're not going to get into those veil of things. And basically after that nightmare, she wakes up because someone stabs her. But when she wakes up, she sees that Pinhead is there. And basically Pinhead prevents her from dying and knows that mainly because Pinhead wants to use her and the Deaders as a link to open a gateway between the Cenobite realm and the human realm, and Amy happens to be the missing link for this. She goes back to find the dude who told her about Winter, but he's gone. And basically, while she's there, they find her and send her to asylum, where she meets a ghost. The ghost of Marla from earlier on in the movie. I don't think we covered Marla, but Marla is the girl who had the puzzle box and was featured in the video earlier on in the movie. Basically meets Marla. It's a ghost. Marla tells her more information about the Deaders and how they need to open the puzzle box. And yeah. So she wakens back in the Deaders' hideout. They give her a knife, or Winter gives her a knife, to kind of kill herself so that she can officially become a Deader and then solve the puzzle box. But she refuses to do so. And then after refusing to do so, Pinhead shows back up because throwing the box like somehow causes it to lock in, which doesn't make sense based upon what we've seen before. But it causes it to lock in. After doing so, Pinhead shows up, kills Winter, and basically is like, yo, I'm taking you with me, as he's done everyone else, which I don't understand why he killed Winter. This is something we talked about this is something we talked about earlier in this third movie, I want to say,
Hmm.
when we talked about Pinhead starting to just kind of kill people who weren't connected to the opening of the box anymore.
Yeah.
And this is one of those situations where Amy does open the box and Pinhead has a connection to Winter, but he didn't open the box to summon his wrath. So it seemed like him being killed um, was kind of out of place. Um, but anyways, she basically kills herself with the knife that she refused to do so earlier and causes the Cenobites to go back through their portal. And that's pretty much the end of it. Her body's never found, and the ending's just kind of up in the air.
And then the interesting part was that the editor or whomever sent Amy in the beginning to go like figure all this out, it shows them at the end sending another young lady to go and figure it all out. So you wonder at the end, is he connected to all of this? Is he like, trying to put these young women in danger? Is he connected with the cult? Like, why is he doing that?
It's definitely the vibe of things that they kind of throw out there.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but you're right. It's definitely a movie that seemed the ghost vibe would make sense with the 13 Ghost connection.
Mm-hmm.
But it seemed like Pinhead was just kind of shoved into this movie, and the rules need to be bended for Pinhead's lore to make it work. It felt like.
Right. And that's one of the things that I think it's what made me kind of go, like, I think I kind of fish-eyed this movie and I was, like, watching it but not, like, focused on it too much because I kept going, like, why, though? Like, this obviously was a movie that was not meant to be this. So, yeah, that's... This one I did not care for of the last couple. I think it was my least favorite. Not because it wasn't... I mean... Okay, maybe it wasn't my least favorite because my least favorite was the one where, like, every time, like, with the cop, I didn't really care for that one. But
Oh yeah.
this one was just not, I mean, it was just not in the realm of, like, something I cared for that much. I mean, I think if I had to pick a favorite part, it's probably any part with Pinhead in it. I don't know. Even though I felt like he was there and just, like, injected in this part where he didn't need to be, like,
Yeah.
I'm still a fangirl, so...
There are some good quotes in this movie. Um, but other than that, I don't think I really had a favorite part to it. Like you said, it's really just the parts where Pinhead shows up. Um, when he killed the debtors was cool.
Yeah. Yeah, I
But
suppose so.
yeah, but that's about it.
Yeah.
Like I said, the main thing to watch this movie for is the quotes that Pinhead uses. One of our promo tweets was a quote from this movie. So I'd check it out for that reason. But if you want it as a Pinhead Hellraiser movie, other than to just get through the series of them, I don't know.
Yeah. That's one of the things I like about Pinhead. I think we talked about this before, where as a character, he has these very iconic lines. And I don't think I wrote down the line that I especially appreciated from this one. Yeah, my notes are very sparse on this one. Which makes sense why I don't remember much of it because I didn't write anything down. But yeah, this one, not a huge fan. And for additions to lore part, I think it did more to detract from lore than it did to add to. Because to your point, like throwing it somehow solves it. Like,
Yeah, it definitely just tried to change lore so that it could fit the narrative of the story.
yeah, definitely. So that one, I don't know. I gotta give this a 2, a 3, maybe. I don't know. On the rating, I feel like you may be better at giving that rating because, like I said,
I would say it gets a 2, and that's only because of the quote, my favorite for this movie, which may be my favorite quote from the series, which is the dreams are fleeting, only nightmares last forever.
that's the line I was thinking about, I think.
But outside of that, I can't give this movie more than 2 pins.
Yeah. Yeah. Just didn't, it was just a letdown. I mean, not that I expected any of these to be exceedingly deliciously good like the first couple of them. But I don't know.
Yeah.
I just was expecting more out of it. Like, at least with the other movies, that it seemed like more compelling to me. The storyline seemed more compelling, and at least, like, even if you hooked it in, it still made sense. But this one just didn't. Like, it was just like, why are you here, Pinhead? Why is the limit configuration here?
Yeah, it definitely was out of place. It even the next one we're about to talk about, Hellworld, at least kind of helps out the lore and mythos a little bit
Yeah.
in a way better than this movie did. Maybe they shouldn't have come out in the same year. That might have helped, but
I'm actually here for Hellworld. I actually liked it in the fact that it's a 2005 horror movie where a bunch of like very attractive people get killed. So I liked it, but I did find out a tidbit. Apparently, it's based on a short story called "Dark Can't Breathe" by Joel Soyson, and Joel Soyson. I'm assuming that's how you say his name. I'm sorry, Joel, if I'm saying it wrong.
Dark Can't Breathe.
Yeah, I can't find it anywhere. I looked for it online because I wanted to read it. But he's a screenwriter. His credits include Dracula 2000, Nightmare on Elm Street 2, Freddy's Revenge, Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, and then there's some other ones, The Prophecy. He had a like pretty good like writer's lineup, and I was like, you wrote this? Like, you wrote a short story it was based on. So I was like, that's interesting. I'm gonna like dig and try to find it because I couldn't find it today when I was like.
I can't find it either. Everything I see that when I search it just pulls up Hellraiser, Hellworld, and how it's connected.
Yeah, I bet I can. I bet it's out there somewhere. I bet I can find it. This is the internet.
That's true. The Wayback Machine. The dreaded Wayback Machine that makes you afraid for your whole internet existence.
Wait till you find my 8th grade email address. It was Gryffindor Pirate, in case you were wondering.
Oh, I don't even know what to say to that.
That did not. Well, that was before I knew how that horrible woman was. So,
well, see you later.
Well, that's it. Great show. It's been a great show. So I actually really liked Hellworld, and I liked it because it felt like a throwback to the movies I was watching around that time. I'm trying to think of another one that was like it.
I do have to say though, the fact that you like Gryffindor enough to make your email, I don't even know. I'm a Slytherin person before she got all turfy.
Yeah.
So any Gryffindor person just confuses me.
Yeah. I don't know how to explain that. That's a discussion I think for another day, because that's one I gotta unpack.
For our anti-Harry Potter podcast.
Yeah. But, so there were lots of movies around this time frame that sort of had this sort of like setup where you have this group of young, attractive people who get murderated throughout the film. And I really like this movie. So basically the setup is they have this online game called Hellworld, which I guess some fiend has created this game that's like based on what the mythos is around the lament configuration and the Cenobites and all of that. And this group of kids are like addicted to playing it, which is like, okay, addicted to video games. Like, we have to go with that trope.
Yeah. As someone who is addicted to a video game, I understand though.
Been there.
Yeah, also, thank you, Nico, for putting a Dark Souls comment in the Discord, and now all I can think about is Dark Souls.
I gotta stop because I could go on. We could talk. Every time we bring up Dark Souls, I feel like we talk about it at length, and I'm just like, I always want to talk about it, but then I'm like, okay, get us off track. But so we have this young guy named Adam. He committed suicide after being too immersed in the game. So again, you see this sort of this was done a lot in that era of like, and even before when you had like, anti D&D stuff, you had like, the whole like concern with like losing your touch in reality and how does that affect you in your daily life. And it truly does. There's studies that show that this sort of thing happens. But anyway, that's an aside. Deeper conversation. But So their friend Adam commits suicide, and again, anytime we mention suicide in the show, I like to say, if you need help, get it. There's a hotline you can call. There are people who care about you. Please make a better choice, please. I'm glad you're here, still here, friends, and I hope you continue to be here. So, all that to say, this group of friends, they come back later. They get invited to this house party through the game, which is Sketch.
Definitely.
And then they all find themselves starting to get trapped in different pieces. They're starting to have like these hallucinations and stuff like that, where like they're imagining, oh, this looked like this. Like we have Superman himself in this movie, imagining that this girl who he's getting very intimate with is like, they're like, everybody's wearing masks, so it's easy, I guess, to do that, especially if you implication of drug use. I don't know. But, so anyway, they have hallucinations. They have all these sort of things going on.
Did they ever, I don't know if we touched about this, but the boy who's dead at the beginning, sorry, the boy who's dead at the beginning, he died because he solved the puzzle box, right? Did they ever explain how his dad got that puzzle box?
I don't recall.
Because that's there's just a big plot hole between even Hell World and this movie as to how this person got the puzzle box. But anyways,
I don't recall that. But then again, when we watched these movies, as how many weeks ago, so there's holes.
That's very true.
So there's a guy who's like this is his house. He's having the party in it. Like pre them starting to have like hallucinations and stuff, and he's showing them like he has a collection of stuff. He has like a huge collection of like, he's got like fake limit configurations. He's got like props from the game, and it's really kind of like an ode to this whole lore and stuff. And it's like, I felt like Sam and I were this guy. He's like a huge fan or something.
Yeah, I mean, I think I've sent you that statue that I want of the Hell Priest. Like, if I could have the Cenobites as detailed statues, I would. Not like full size, because that would be very unsettling to have in a room. But
I had, what was it? I had a Joker from the Dark Knight. I had a standee of him, and me and my college roommate would hide it in weird places, so when we'd open the door, it'd be right there and stuff. And it was like, it was funny, but it was like awful, because it was like, I'm gonna walk in this room and she's moved it. I know she's gonna have moved it. Like,
it's like spooky Elf on a Shelf.
Yeah. Where's he gonna be today? So this guy, he seemed Sketch to me from the beginning. Turns out he was Sketch. He basically, they go through all this thing. Some of them die. Some of them are trapped in parts of the house. It's a whole thing. And turns out this guy has poisoned or like given them some sort of like psychedelics or something like that. Something to like, he's, I'm skipping a lot. I know I am, but he's buried them alive. And apparently it turns out he's Adam's dad or something.
Yeah, so he turns out to have been the dad the entire time. And he's just kind of pissed off that they let his son die. But which, it's not their fault. I mean, Pinhead, look, if Pinhead kills one of your friends, don't come take it out on me and Marlo. That's all I'm saying. Like, that's the kind of connection that he seems to make. But yeah, he drugged them pretty early on in the party, and then once that set in, he buries them outside. And during the whole thing, most of them die except for like two of them, who end up getting rescued by the police, which kind of just get an anonymous tip from where the party took place in the first place. And then once again, we get another kind of ghost, quote unquote, viewing, which this is the second film in a row where we've seen ghosts, which we don't see prior to these, which is supposed to be the boy who died at the start of the movie. Um, but it kind of just closes up with Adam's dad kind of remembering his son and then finding the actual puzzle box and having a realization as he summons it and calls forth Pinhead.
Hmm.
Um, he kind of has this realization of what actually happens in classic Pinhead fashion, which this movie did a better Pinhead than Deader did.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, Pinhead just kind of mocks him about the whole situation, and then uh, he ends up getting killed. The dad ends up just getting killed for his efforts. So he basically just murdered a bunch of teenagers to find out he did it for no reason, and then Pinhead killed him after making fun of him for it.
Basically, yes. And one of the interesting things um, about this movie to me is that some of these kids who die, they basically die because they believed they died in their hallucinations. And so they die of like, they're like scared to death.
Yeah,
And
Nightmare on Elm Street style.
yeah, exactly. So I really liked this movie, and I wish this game existed because I would play this game. And I probably would have gone to the party like an idiot. Only if
Luckily,
you
I
were
don't go to
going.
parties.
No, only if you were going. If you were going to go, I wouldn't go. You gotta stay together. That's why you go to the
Yeah.
that's why we go to the bathroom together. That's why I go to the bathroom together. That's why we do this stuff together, because we don't want to get murdered. Seen too many horror movies.
Exactly. Exactly. I probably wouldn't go to the party just because it seems sketch. That our friend would have just died and they've been like, "Hey, you want to go to this sketchy party?" But
I know I said it. I know I started off at the beginning of this saying I was sketchy. I met my partner by going to a sketchy party.
okay,
So sketchy parties are like a part of my like lore here. So
just the sketchiness is just building.
sketch. There's so much sketch.
Can I cancel that package mid trip?
Yeah, it's funny though, because these people, because they're all going, they feel safe to go. Like they recognize it's sketchy, and I think, and even they're like, "What the heck's going? Like this is weird. Like you're really gonna go to that?" You know, there's like there's discussions like that, but they think, you know, since we're all going together, we're probably gonna be fine, right? No, no, you're not. Unfortunately.
Yeah. I mean, it's also a situation like any situation that's that sketchy, you just have to make sure you can run faster than everyone else who is with you.
Exactly. I don't have to outrun the killer. I just have to outrun everyone else.
Exactly.
So overall, my favorite parts of this movie,
Not that I would do that. I would totally help everyone.
yeah.
It's not in my nature to leave people behind.
So did you have any favorite parts in this one?
I don't know. I keep drinking this tea. Um,
It's nasty. I keep drinking it.
my favorite part is Pinhead making fun of the dad, basically, and kind of giving him mock praise for the whole situation, just because, of course, Pinhead likes killing people with style, and then he's like, "Yeah, but you wasted your time." That's probably my favorite part of this movie. My least favorite part, I guess the ending. I didn't like how we had two survivors this time. I'm kind of a one survivor kind of person.
I think it could have been stronger if Chelsea was the final girl. I know that that's kind of a trope, but I just think it could have been stronger that way.
Definitely. Definitely. And then they also played up the ghost thing too hard again in that final scene. I don't understand where all these ghosts popping up keep coming from. But this movie also reminded me of it's a great movie and now I don't remember the name of it. The tagline was "You die in the game, you die for real."
Oh.
It is Stay Alive from
Stay Alive.
2006. The same, just a year later. So that's
That's
kind of
probably what this is reminding me of, because this movie reminded me of it. But I liked it because I hadn't seen a movie like this in a while. But yeah, there's been lots of movies that use that kind of trope, but that definitely
it's
was like,
kind of the same theme.
Right.
So a group of teenagers are addicted to a video game, except in this game, well, I guess the same thing. If you die in the game, you die for real. But they go to a mansion. They get because a friend of theirs dies, so they go to this mansion to investigate all this stuff. It's really
I'm gonna have to watch
strange.
this now.
You haven't seen Stay Alive?
No.
Oh, it is a great movie. That's a at some point.
I think I've seen the trailers for it. I think I wanted to watch it at that point, but I didn't. I don't think I did. Or if I did, it's been so long since I've forgotten it because I don't recall watching it. But then
Yeah,
again, I did that with The Void. I was like, oh yeah, this looks like an awesome movie. Wait a minute, I've seen this.
I highly recommend Stay Alive as well as Dead Silence. Those are kind of the same era of two movies that I really enjoyed with the same kind of aesthetic, the creepy Victorian lady aesthetic.
So I think I'm gonna agree with your like favorites and least favorite parts on this one. That's pretty solidly, I would say. I kind of like didn't like Henry Cavill getting like sexy times with that chick. I didn't really care for that part, and I don't know if that's just because it's a 2005 movie. Like, what do you expect? But like, I just didn't care for it. It wasn't unnecessary.
I agree. And I mean, have you looked at the cast lists of what they called these people anyways? I don't think they were trying too hard
No, I haven't. What's
to
her
make-
name? What's the name of the girl?
Who knows which one it is? Because
Oh.
they're just like hooker, Mexican girl.
Oh my god.
There was one I saw, female Cenobite, just vagrant. They just have the description names of what they do, basically, or who they are on the surface.
I played the hooker.
Yeah.
In Hellraiser Hellworld. That was
Hooker
me.
number 4.
Yeah. Okay. So
Yeah. There's also Streetwalker. I didn't see that one either.
Oh,
So it could have
we're-
been any of those.
we're differentiating. There's a
Yeah.
okay. Cool. So additions to lore here. There wasn't much, right?
No, if anything, well, it kind of added that you can have a lot of boxes, but them not actually open the gateways.
So you can have replica boxes.
Yeah, replica boxes. It kind of solidified that that was a thing. Because before it's kind of like just assumed that this limit for configuration, if done properly, is just going to work.
Mm-hmm.
You see it done in building scale. But it seems like there's only just the one that actually works. So it kind of solidifies that. It also solidifies that other people know about the events with Pinhead and Hellraiser and everything else going around in the world. Which, okay.
It's it's like a fandom of like it's like a serial killer fandom or something.
Yeah.
Like it's like we know this thing really happened and we really are fans of it. Or is it just like the game is like, oh, this is the game and someone made it who knew about it and they're like, oh, this is awesome.
Unless they're trying to say that in the real world, Hellraiser is also a franchise that people do not realize exists,
Oh no.
which changes the entire dynamic of all the other movies.
This is not good, Sam. If that's true, then that means we're gonna die. Cause like we're writing a review about the whole franchise. Like
I don't know. At least I'll see some crazy thing, some crazy shit first, right?
at least I won't have to pay back my student loans. Hey.
I mean, Pinhead might still make you do that. That might be your own personal hell.
She's in a hell. She's in her own personal hell, quite unreachable, paying lots of interest. Okay, so rating on this one, I've got to, I think a 3. And I say a 3 because it didn't quite hit the 4 range. I think I was so impressed with it because it was a part of this franchise after so many shitty movies.
Yeah, I'm gonna give it a 3.5 just because it had the MMO kind of trope thrown in there, which I love representation for online games. So I'll give it a 3.5 for that, as well as it being better than the other movie that came out the same year as it. So
There you go.
can
3.5.
have that.
I agree with that.
yeah,
So next movie is Revelations. I hated this movie. Oh my God, I hated it.
I've seen a pattern of you like, I like this one, just every other one.
Every other one, maybe that's the pattern. So basically what happens here is these two kids run away from home and they travel to Mexico. The boys are going there to party, I guess, and then they disappear. And we have this sort of, again, this sort of like footage that's found because the belongings are brought back to their parents, and they had a video camera with them. So, or is it a phone or a video camera?
It's a camera.
It's a camera. It's 2011.
Yeah.
It's a camera.
I mean, it could have been a phone then, but it was a camera, a video camera, kind of showing them messing with some stuff. Continue. I don't want to part of the breakdown.
The families, the two families of the two boys, I guess, are close. Their sons were friends, best friends. So, and there's other connections we find out later on. They get together for a dinner type thing. And then we also find out that one of the boys, Steven, his younger sister, Emma, was dating the other boy that ran away, Nico. So Steven and Nico ran away. Steven has a sister named Emma who was dating Nico. The frustration with Emma is they ran away and they didn't take her with them, and Nico left. Like, that's her boyfriend. I mean, her brother ran away, sure, but my boyfriend ran away without me. That's obviously more concerning.
I mean, as someone who doesn't communicate very much with my family,
yeah, that's true.
I can understand, like, oh, that sucks. As opposed to, oh, this person is constantly talking to me and now they're gone, disappeared.
So we have this videotape, and Steven's mom is like watches this thing all the time. You can tell like she's super into it. She watches it over and over again. And Emma finds the tape and looks at it. And she gets upset because the video covers Nico and Steven picking this girl up, and Nico has sex with this girl. So her boyfriend cheated on her before he disappeared.
Which makes it weird that the mom keeps watching this video.
Right? Especially with her, because Steven's in there, like, talking about, like, you know, getting his turn or whatever. Like, it's like...
Yeah. It'd be super awkward.
Super awkward. And then Nico apparently murdered this girl. And then he threatens to implicate Steven in the murder and kind of blame it on him so that he'll go along with covering it up. Because Steven wants to like alert the authorities about it.
Yep, pretty much. It's kind of like the whole thing kind of leads to their interactions with the puzzle box to begin with. Did you want me to go from there?
Yeah, basically they're doing the same thing that Frank was doing, looking for that ultimate experience, right?
Yeah, and that's exactly how it's described. So this movie kind of delves back to that connection that we saw in the first movie, about people seeking out ultimate pleasure and the puzzle box being the thing to ultimately provide that. So Nico kills this first prostitute, and because it was on camera, they kind of swear each other to secrecy. But what it turned out was that Nico and Steve met this a homeless man, basically, who gave them the puzzle box, saying that it would provide for them what they were seeking with their search for ultimate pleasure. Not really about Pinhead. So Nico goes ahead and opens it and solves it, only to die, of course. And then shortly after that, Steve, who was not present for the opening of the puzzle box, goes out and kills a prostitute himself. Mm-hmm. I guess that's just if you can't get ultimate pleasure, kill him, I guess is his solution. But this event basically brings, in the same kind of sense like we were talking about with Frank, brings Nico back as a skinless person, mm-hmm. To kind of come whole and try and get Steve to kill more people for him and bring him back as the same sense of Frank. Basically, Steve goes about helping him until some infanticide happens, which we're not going to really talk about.
Yeah.
But Steve is like, I'm not going to do it anymore. He gets got by Nico, who decides, I'm going to wear your skin now. So basically, the same thing that happens in the first movie, where Frank steals his brother's skin. Instead, Nico steals his friend's skin, who's been helping him kill people the whole time. Which I guess works. You can frame him easier. If I guess I don't even know, but goes on to seduce Emma as Steve.
Yes. It's the worst. Like,
Which
I already didn't like this movie very much up to this point just because the acting was not, I mean, as a comparison to the rest of the movies, the acting was not good. I mean, the other movies are pretty well acted. It hasn't been a complaint at all to me. But this one, the acting was not good. And then when it got to that part, I was like, yeah, I hate this movie. It was like incest. And I figured something was up, that it wasn't really him.
Yeah, but it was like straight up. It wasn't like in the first movie where it's like Frank isn't really her uncle. It's just kind of this weird thing. And in the book, they're not related at all. And this, it's like straight up, I'm your brother. I'm going to wear your boyfriend's skin and pretend to be.
At least it didn't actually happen in the first movie, right? Here it's like under the shirt, like action and like kissing. Like that's horrible. And it was, I was like, Clip that.
Yeah.
Make
basically.
Make it a gif of me doing that.
I don't even know if I could catch that clip in time. Someone listening, catch that clip. Basically, they do that, and then the homeless man shows up and just decides they're gonna kill Nico's dad. So homeless man shows up, kills Nico's dad, and then this whole further altercation happens where Nico reveals himself and kind of holds everyone hostage. So once everyone is held hostage, he forces Emma, who he just like, we're not even going to get into that, but makes her open the puzzle box so Pinhead can come back. And what happens is just kind of like every other situation where someone thinks they're going to get over on Pinhead by solving the puzzle box on the end. He shows up, the Cenobites show up and just start killing everyone kind of non-committally, starting with Nico's mom. But what happens is that Steve's father, which I forget why he's there, ends up shooting Nico, which in the result kind of has another family member get pulled away by these Cenobites. But in kind of a strange twist, Steve becomes a Cenobite himself and allows Emma and her dad to kind of go back and not have to deal with the situation. Which is another strange lore addition about people being able to be made into Cenobites, which already exist, kind of like a passing down the mantle kind of situation. But the movie closes with Emma kind of solving the puzzle box, or attempting to solve the puzzle box, ending on this strange cliffhanger, which my only assumption would be that she's going to try and summon Nico back or Steve back.
I'm not sure. So the thing that was interesting about this ending is that Pinhead sort of like sees this like in her, like she's been touched by this box and she's got these sort of unnatural urges, right? We saw that because apparently she kissed who she thought was her brother. Disgusting. And so he says, like, when you get to the point where it's not enough for you anymore, you know where to find me. Basically is what he says. Like, you're going to use this box for sexual gratification. You are. Eventually.
Yeah. Just calls her out the whole time on it, basically.
Yeah, basically. But yeah, an interesting point is that they let the father go, even though he shot the, like, intended target, and they took the wife or whatever, but he dies anyway. But he dies knowing that he, like, cursed his wife or whatever with eternal, like, suffering or whatever.
Yeah. I agree with you that this one's probably the best one out of this bracket that we're reviewing today.
Yeah. Minus the incest, yes.
Minus, there's always those problematic parts. But it kind of solidified the lore that you see in the books with Pinhead
Mm.
about he's more than just a senseless kind of killing person. He has his own objectives of why he's doing things and his own manipulations of things. And that's kind of seen a lot more in this movie. Um, Kind of coincides with what happens later with Scarlet Gospels, the novel, which came out in like 2000. Who even knows when that was? A lot later than this.
Yeah, the acting was not good, and that was like, I mean, legitimately, I have not said that about any of these movies up to this point. I don't think there's been a one where I said the acting was terrible. There might have been some bad choices here and there, but there certainly wasn't overall bad acting. This one had bad acting. But I think from a lore perspective, you're right. It does go back to the roots of what these movies intend to be. And we have a 6-year gap between the last one and this one. So really, this one seemed to... It very much felt more... It felt like a Hellraiser movie, for sure.
Definitely. And the fact that they let Emma continue to go and just told her like when you're ready, solve the box and we'll come back. Um, I think in those older 2005 movies, they likely would have just killed her and just forgotten about that character for the rest of the time. So, which if we're going to talk about favorite parts, that's probably also my favorite part is at the end there when Pinhead is like when this existence ceases to fulfill, we'll be waiting. Um, that's probably the best part of this movie. The rest of it is just kind of two massage noir dudes being massage noir dudes. that's kind of the rest of the film.
My notes are white boys go to TJ, bad acting, hokey, Pinhead was weird, incest. Those were my notes on this movie.
Kind of covers this movie.
Yeah. So, favorites, least favorites, yeah, I agree with you. Favorite part definitely has to be that. Least favorite part is brother-sister business. Additions to lore was good. I think we talked about that. Rating.
I'll give this one 3.5 again. No, yeah, 3.5 again.
I would give it 3, just because of the acting. I would have given it 3.5 for the acting.
Yeah, I watched so many bad horror movies that it's just kind of status quo. So I guess you're right. Three. We'll drop it down for that acting. We'll say 3.
Okay. 3.25.
3.25.
Compromise.
You take what you can get. It's a Hellraiser movie.
Yeah, absolutely. And it really, like, truly, this movie was the movie that it should have been, like, one more in the line. You know what I mean? Like, this should have been the next Hellraiser film, not, like, random cop solving child murder. Like, you know, like...
Agreed. This one should have been right after Bloodlines, or even right before Bloodlines, because it follows the established arc and lore so well compared to everything else.
Absolutely. So, Hellraiser Judgment. Are we ready to talk about that one?
I am ready.
I am ready. I don't know if I liked it. There's some parts about this one that I liked, some parts that were just like, what?
They went with the detective story route again.
Yes, they sure did. Why they did that again. But okay, cool. So basically this movie kind of gives us a little bit of more of a sort of hierarchy in hell, right? It does that, and it's kind of a spoiler ahead to the lore, but that's the kind of preface to say how this movie starts is you meet this character called the Auditor. I'm an auditor, actually, in real life, so I really like this character.
Not connected to the Auditor from the third movie.
No. Damn it. No. Not that one. They do this sort of... He talks through people's sins and, like, writes it up on an old school typewriter. And then they feed it to... What was the name of the guy who eat? There's a guy who eats the, like, the confession, right?
Yes.
What's his name? I forget it.
I also forget it. Because I know there's the Auditor and the Stygian Inquisition, which the Auditor is a part of.
Right.
This movie is where we really start getting into the lore established by like Scarlet Gospel stuff.
Yeah.
Um, and even looking it up, I don't see the name of what the sins are being fed to in the Stygian Inquisition.
Yeah, there's a specific name for that character, and I'm the assessor, right? Is that it?
That that makes sense. Yes.
Yeah, the assessor. So the assessor comes in. The assessor eats the paper. He pours like, was it child's tears on top of it or something? Like it was syrup. And he eats the paper and then he vomits it. And then it goes into this room where these like three women, they're naked, which I mean, this is a Hellraiser film, so of course they are. They like put their hands in it and like feel of it, and then they say guilty. I doubt they ever say not guilty.
Yeah, I also doubt it.
And then they take the guy back. They cleanse him. So that's women come in and like lick him.
Which he has like a big, just never mind.
He's very.
I don't want to get.
He's very slovenly looking fellow. That's I'll say that much. And like nasty. Okay. So this fellow they lick him and then the executioner comes in and kills him. But there's like a surgeon and a butcher, and like the surgeon is on the butcher's back or something like that. It's like it was really cool imagery, I will say that. Like I really liked how there was like this little guy and this big guy that like killed him. It was, I don't know, it was really cool to me.
I thought it was also cool. Sorry, I had to do some moderating in the chat there, people. Slinging nonsense.
Nonsensical people. Hey, if you're gonna be hateful or rude or mean, get out of here. That's it. You don't have to be here.
It wasn't even to like either of us. It was out of place rudeness. So it's taken care of.
They kill this guy. It's basically you're seeing what is all parts of basically like a justice system or something like that. You're seeing the and I know I'm picking this part apart, but I really kind of liked it in some aspects. You're seeing your sort of investigator, right? Your auditor is sort of like your investigator taking down the evidence. The assessor is reviewing it and offering up a judgment that is then the ladies are sort of like the jury, right? And then you have your sort of preparations for death and then death. So you have your executioner. So it's kind of like to me, it kind of seemed like a sort of mirror of like what the justice system looks like, but it's in hell. So they determine however you're going to suffer.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, they are an inquisition, which is the most intense form of judging court.
Right.
I also liked the setup of this. I liked the depth that it gave us to the world and what it showed. As you and I know, having read the books, how much deeper the Hellraiser universe actually is, as opposed to what you just see on Earth. How there's different orders and different hierarchies, and Cenobites do different things.
Yeah, and then building up, I think I'm a nerd, okay? I like this type of stuff. I like lore and like lore building. Like there's a reason I'm a fan of like Lord of the Rings and stuff like that. Like this sort of dorky stuff is just like I'm like, yes, give me more. I'm like the Inquisitor. I'm like, pour some child's tears on it and like give it to me. Like I want to eat this. So like,
yeah, that's why I was disappointed by the Void not giving us more lore.
I know. There obviously could have been such a rich lore behind there. If there wasn't, it could have been really cool. So again, we have, like Sam said, an investigation happening. There's a serial killer who's basing his murders on the 10 Commandments. Now, this is done and overdone. 10 Commandments or 7 deadly sins, or something like that. Like,
Yeah, it's way overdone. All these Catholic-based or just religion-based serial killers, which isn't a thing that really happens that much. I know a lot about a lot of serial killers. FBI, who is listening again, you taught me this, but
You released the investigation information on this, so
yeah,
but
religious murders are not as high as people think they are.
they're really not. You may have someone who will do the whole, punishment of, prostitutes thing. That has been a thing that some serial killers have done, but not very many. Not as many as you'd think.
Yeah, or like, Binding of Isaac style stuff to their children and
Right.
things like that. But it's not as widespread as media tries to make it seem.
Right. And that's a whole discussion I think we could have. We should watch a movie specifically about a serial killer and then break that down. I think that'd be a really interesting conversation.
Okay.
We'll find
I'll
a
have
good one. You have one?
Yeah, I'm just trying to remember what the title was. I'll have it by the end.
So basically, local criminal went missing. So yes, Sam goes into the house, and so Sean is the detective. Sean, there are three detectives: Sean, David, and then Christine. And Sean goes unconscious and wakes up in the Inquisition's domain in hell. So he's being judged for his sins, and we find out that he's murdered. He's a murderer too, right? That was what it was. He was.
Sean?
Yeah, he's the actual
Yes.
killer, right?
Yeah, he's the preceptor.
Yeah. So we find out that it's actually him at that point. We find out. The audience does.
Yes. The name of that movie, or the name of the movie I was thinking of, is The Night Stalker from 2016 about Richard Ramirez.
Ah, yes.
That's the one we should do.
Richard Ramirez is one of my favorite serial killers, and there's reasons for that, and we can talk about that after we watch that movie.
Okay. It's played by Lou Diamond Phillips plays Richard Ramirez.
Oh, dope.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Then sorry, I'm just thinking about other things we can talk about with that. An angel comes in and tells him to release him. This is weird. This is not usual behavior for angels, evidently.
Correct. It doesn't seem to be usual for them to really interact with the two segments very much at all. But I can't remember why. I lost track of where we were. I'm sorry.
Yeah, so they've judged him and they've determined him guilty, right? But when they do it goes strange. He throws up the guy throws up blood, right, or something like that.
Oh yeah, when Joe Field, that's the name of the angel. So Joe Field intervenes and basically comes down. And during this whole interaction, it allows Sean to kind of escape. It's not exactly made entirely clear why Joe Field intervenes at the time, but it kind of is the driving force to bring Pinhead more to the center of things as the auditor seeks out Pinhead's guidance. And for those who are not familiar with Pinhead rank in hell, he's I forgot what the exact title is. Is he a bishop at that point? He's a pretty high-ranking priest within hell.
Yeah, it's out of the group of they're like monks or something like that, right? They don't. There's another word for it. It's like a monk though.
Yeah, he's a pretty high-ranking member of that, Cenobite of that. If I remember correctly, he's also part of the Order of the Gash, which is where the Cenobites come from.
Yeah, that's what I was looking for. That's the thing I was looking for.
So basically, they escape, and then Sean returns to kind of investigate himself. But of course, there's no sign of anything that was there, because why would there be? But he starts to have these kind of same visions that we've seen in the other movies before this one, in his sleep. These kind of nightmares where the Cenobites are taunting him and basically saying, um, that it's their job to bring judgment upon him. And because he interacted with the box and he's killed people and been proven guilty of these sins. And they kind of start to eat at Sean a bit. Um, so leaving there, which is interesting, the fact that at this point he's already been judged to be the preceptor, but continues to investigate. So leaving there, they return to the coroner's office to try and get GPS coordinates off of one of their last victims, the preceptor's last victims, um, in order to find the hideout. So getting those GPS coordinates and getting to the hideout location, um, Sean basically incapacitates Christine and is like, "Hey, I'm secretly the preceptor this whole time," which, I mean, you think it would have been caught on to that things were kind of off,
Yeah.
but it apparently doesn't. I don't know who writes the characters sometimes, but it's one of those situations where it's like something was this weird this whole time. You probably should have
It's like
noticed.
everyone around them is so dumb. Like, it's like, where were you? What were you doing? This thing happened. Where were you? Like, like, or, I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, basically after this point, the other detective shows up, figures out what's actually going on. That it's actually Sean, and tracks him down through the coroner's office and locates him. And they kind of give an altercation where Sean disarms him, and it's revealed that not only does he have Christine, he also has Allison, which is David's wife.
Right.
And then forces both of them to open the box and summon the Cenobites for him and open the gateway.
Right. Well, because David and Sean, the two detectives at this point, they're brothers. And I guess David had slept with his wife, with Sean's wife, Allison.
Yeah.
So that was a whole, like, it was you, I knew, whole time thing.
It's just kind of trying to throw in this extra motivation for why he's doing these things, which you don't really need in a Hellraiser movie.
Well, and it's funny because he tries to pull a Kirsty and say, "Look, take them." It doesn't work.
Definitely.
Like, why do I want them? I want you.
That's exactly what happens by trying to make Allison and David open it up. And again, Pinhead's like, "Nah, you open this up for us. And we're here for you. You escaped. We need you." But the auditor shows up in this situation rather than just Pinhead. And basically it's like, "I have to take you back. We found you guilty." But once again, this angel named Jophiel intervenes and pleads the case to both Pinhead and the auditor that his killing rampage is part of heaven's plan or God's plan, basically to instill fear into sinners of the world, by him being out and, I guess, murdering people. I guess it makes people not go outside to sin, but this was made in 2018, so the internet still exists. But Pinhead, never one to be one-upped, arranges so that someone else can kill Sean for him so that the Cenobites are not directly responsible for killing Sean. And it's all kind of taken care of. And then, because Pinhead's a badass, also kills this angel who showed up. Like,
yeah, he just like annihilates an angel. Like, whatever.
But because he does this, he gets kicked out of hell and has to become mortal. And that's kind of where it closes up. That's where it closes up for the credits anyways. So
yeah.
We'll talk about the after credits if you want later on with lore stuff.
Yeah. So that's high level the movie. I thought it could have been better, but I liked what it did. I liked some of the lore that it built out and the characters it kind of placed. So that's probably my favorite part. I liked the auditor and the inquisitor, or whatever his name was. I I've forgotten it again already. Here we go.
The Assessor.
The Assessor.
Yeah.
I liked that. I liked the surgeon and the butcher. I would like to see more of them.
Oh, and the Chatterer was in this one again. Chatterer is one of
Yes,
my favorites.
I love the Chatterer. That was very cool. So there were some very good parts. I liked the vision of this sort of like Inquisition building. It looked very nasty, disgusting. It looked like, I mean, for lack of a better term, it looked like a crack house or something. Like, it was bad, but it was awesome.
Definitely. I like the aesthetic they did for the Hell Realm a lot, for sure.
And it kind of reminded me of like what, if you were in a game of Cult and you were trying to see through the illusion, like what you would see on the other side.
Oh, sometimes I wonder if I'm about to see through an illusion. I just turn around and look the other way.
Don't blink too hard. That's the thing. Keep the eyes blurry. Like, least favorite parts? I don't know. I don't think that the like whole affair thing was necessary.
Yeah, I think that was kind of shoved in there to give an extra hostage. I also didn't like that they revealed so early on that Sean was the preceptor to everyone, as far as the audience, because it makes it harder to believe what's going on with Christine. It would have been a better kind of reveal if we found out that he's been judged before this and has been pretending to be investigating all this stuff.
Right.
But outside of that, I don't think I have anything that I would say wasn't good about it.
Right. It deserved to be a part of these films. It obviously, like, it was the lore of it and what it built, and then the plot was deep enough that it made sense.
Definitely. And it pulled a lot from Scarlet Gospels, especially even in the ending, which was Pinhead's whole purpose kind of throughout that book was trying to get to the mortal realm anyways. And it kind of just wraps up that book in a way that changes its connections with the detective, which I forgot his name from the book. But it basically adds in its own detective and then makes the story in such a way where they don't have to explain a whole other franchise's lore to you. Because Scarlet Gospels crosses over with another series by Clive Barker.
Harry D'Amour.
Harry D'Amour. Okay.
And I believe he was in, like, the Books of Blood or something like that. I think that was where he came from or something like that. I don't know. I had to look all that up. I was going to read more of his stuff, too, but...
But, yeah. I think it's definitely deserves its place among the Hellraiser movies. If you took out current 5, 6, and 7 and put these movies in, or this movie and the last one we talked about in, I think it would be okay.
Yeah, it would have been a more solid franchise for sure.
For sure. I'll give this one 3.5. I'm not going to drop it this time. 3.5 on this.
I think 3.5 is a fair judgment on that. You could put it up to the auditor to write it up and give it to the assessor to eat. And I would agree. I think he'd spit it out and say that's right. I just like that method. I liked a lot about this movie. It was really, really. It was good. I miss the original Pinhead in any film, and I don't think I talked about that with Revelations either, because he wasn't in Revelations. He was stopped being in. I think it was like, which one did he stop being in?
I think it was right after Bloodlines. I think Bloodlines was the last one.
Yeah, I missed him through these last films, for sure.
He's the key Pinhead for me.
Yeah, definitely. But yeah. I mean, honestly, final thoughts on the whole matter. Are there some you could miss? Definitely. On the whole, compare it to other horror movie franchises, it did better than a lot of them, honestly.
Definitely true. Especially the one we're going to get into next.
But overall, franchise-wise, I enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed the watch through, even though there were some I was just like, ugh.
Well, I'm glad you enjoyed it. Always enjoy watching these movies, but when I was like, Marlo, we should review all the Hellraiser movies, I was concerned about the task that I saddled us with, so I'm glad it turned out well.
It did, and I even read, like I read the Scarlet Gospels, and I reread uh, Hellbound Heart, and I appreciated it a lot. And like I said, I'm not done with this franchise yet. There is comic book media I've not yet consumed, so that's on my list of things to do. But if you're looking for a horror movie franchise to get into, to start digging into the lore of, this is not a bad one to start with. This is not a bad one to pick up. I think there's plenty of interesting things that go along with it and interesting characters, and the Cenobites are just dope.
Agreed. Agreed. Overall franchise, I give this 4 pins out of 5. Even with the bad movies,
Yeah.
watch them. Read the books. The books would give you everything the movies give you, and I think you'd be satisfied. Um, because they really cover the good movies that we talked about, and the rest is just like fluff that you get to enjoy added on there. Um, but yeah, highly
Absolutely.
recommend. It's stuck with me since the first time I watched it. Um, and I'll always recommend it. So
Yeah. You could do worse on a, you know, quarantined week if you had it, of just sitting down and watching, a couple movies a night or a movie a night. You could do worse with a week's worth of evenings.
definitely, you definitely could. And if you run a streaming service, movies 3 through 7 are available for licensing, so that we don't have to buy them all to watch them.
There you go. So,
Uh,
I think that's it for us tonight. We were a little over time.
do we want to go over our movie for next time?
Yeah, we should talk about what we want to do next time. Do we want to do the Richard Ramirez?
I thought we wanted to do a Christmas movie first,
We
or
want
do
to
we
do.
want to wait a week?
Let's do this. Let's do Richard Ramirez, and then next
Okay.
week we'll put us closer to Christmas, right? The week after that'll put us closer to Christmas, right?
Yeah. So we got the 11th on next week is the 11th. We can do Night Stalker, and then the 18th we could do Black Christmas,
Yeah. And then that'll put us right before Christmas, and then I don't know, how does it fall out? I got a new phone, so I'm like struggling to find
and
all of the
then
apps
the
here.
Christmas is the Friday after that, so we can just take a break for that week.
Yes. And then we can pick up with the new year. Do we want to
Yep.
tell them what we want to do, or you want to wait?
We'll wait.
We'll wait. Big announcement. Big announcement
Yeah.
coming up in 2 weeks. But yeah, that sounds good. I like that.
All right. Well, look out for that, folks. Marlo, you want to close up? This is your show. I don't know why I took over.
Hey, this is like a joint effort. This is like we're co-hosts here. That's what we do.
That's true. That's true.
So I hope you all had a great evening. I hope we got to talk through some interesting movies with you, and I hope that you enjoy some of them. And if you are coming up on a holiday for your respective, belief system, and even if you're not, this is a holiday season where a lot of families get together, and I hope you have a not very stressful holiday season, and you can always use the pandemic as an excuse not to come. So,
Exactly.
thanks everyone, and have a great night.
Yep. And if you don't like the show, remember you opened the link and we came.
Never open the link, and I came. Here I come. On that note, see you later.